What's up, guys? So today we're going to look into the future again for Hersheypark. So let's take a moment of silence and meditate. Okay, no, that's not what we want! Okay, so that's what's happened. So today I'm going to be discussing a theory that I came up with in a previous video of mine when I was talking about my 10-year prediction plan for Hersheypark. I'll put a link into that video right here. If you haven't seen that video yet, watch it. But today's video is going to be kind of tagging along with that with a theory that I proposed or kind of made up for that video. So before we go diving into this topic, I just want to put a disclaimer out there that everything I'm about to say in this video is pure speculation. It's just a theory that I came up with, and there's no evidence about any of this possibly happening. This is just a what-if question that I came up with. So I was thinking to myself recently, what if Hersheypark removed Tidal Force to make room for a brand new attraction? Sorry, Tidal Force, you're gone.
Guess I'll just die then.
So asking this question, it raised a few other questions. First and foremost, why would they get rid of Tidal Force to begin with? And what would they replace Tidal Force with? So real quick, let's take a look at what Tidal Force is. Tidal Force is a shoot-to-shoot splash ride that opened in May of 1994. And when it opened in 1994, Hersheypark advertised it as the tallest shoot-to-shoot ride in the world, standing at 100 feet. While this is technically correct, I know in 1994, that same year, that two other shoot-to-shoot rides at the same height of 100 feet opened at Nagashima Spa Land and Fujiku Highland. But still, technically, at the time, it was still one of the world's tallest shoot-to-shoot rides. And from my research, it's still one of the tallest in the world, standing at 100 feet. And the ride is pretty simplistic. It's a figure 8 layout. You just go up a hill, then you go down a steeper hill, and you get soaked. But the general public seems to love this ride. It's at a good location, being right next to their water park section, the boardwalk. And every single time I attended the park last year, especially on a hot summer day, this ride still has a pretty long line. So 26 years after the ride opened, it still has good attendance.
Excuse me, why would you ever remove Tidal Force?
Well, let's rewind to what I just said. So 26 years after the ride opened, Tidal Force is a 26-year-old attraction, so it's getting close to the end of its service life. Oh, he actually didn't blow up this time. So seeing that Tidal Force is 26 years old now, and it's getting towards the end of its service life, while we may not be seeing too many maintenance issues with it right now, in the coming years, I think Hersheypark is going to have to start spending more and more money to maintain this ride. While the manufacturer Hopkins ride is still around, I'm pretty sure that they're not manufacturing the parts that they used to create the ride back in 1994. So, if Hersheypark needs new parts for Tidal Force, they may have to be special ordered or custom made from Hopkins rides. But I still think possibly sometime within the next 10 years that we could see Tidal Force getting the axe. So, if Hersheypark removed Tidal Force, what would they replace it with? I don't know why, but I've always kind of envisioned a B&M dive coaster standing where Tidal Force currently is. I don't know, maybe it's just because in some way the lift hill and the drop for Tidal Force looks kind of similar to the lift hill and the first drop of a B&M dive coaster. Maybe that's just me and I'm just stupid, but I just kind of envision that. So the plot of land that Tidal Force is on is not the biggest plot of land, but I still think that there's plenty of room to have a sort of a smaller layout B&M dive coaster here. Something similar to what we see at SeaWorld San Diego with Emperor. So if Hersheypark decided to add a B&M dive coaster at this spot, I could see the stats kind of looking like this. It would be under 200 feet tall, have an original layout, have multiple inversions, and have a water splash section to kind of remember Tidal Force because people love that splash element. And I think it would be like a beach or a surf theme because it's so close to the boardwalk. So why a B&M dive coaster? Well, the general public seems to love B&M dive coasters. They just flock to them and they just go crazy over it. Coaster enthusiasts, however, for whatever reason, they seem to hate B&M dive coasters and...
Why?
Don't be a coaster Karen now. I personally love B&M dive coasters. While some of them can sort of be one-trick ponies, but some of the newer ones seem to have a much more original layout and have much more to it than just a straight dive and not much more else. I will say that my only complaint with B&M dive coasters, but I think this kind of goes with anything that B&M makes currently, is those horrible vest restraints. B&M.
Stop!
And also look at the area that Hersheypark's in. There is no B&M dive coasters anywhere near Hersheypark. The closest one is 4.5 hours south of Hersheypark at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg with Griffin. The next closest one is Valraven at Cedar Point, which is about 6 hours away. Then you got Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland, which is 6.5 to 7 hours away. So pretty much in the entire northeast section of the country, there's no B&M dive coasters. And also a B&M dive coaster would add a new experience to Hersheypark too. Well, Hersheypark already has Fahrenheit, and I know some people kind of say that that's sort of a dive coaster, but in my eyes, that's in no way, shape, or form a dive coaster, and adding a B&M dive coaster would be a completely different experience from Fahrenheit. And also adding a B&M dive coaster would give Hersheypark 3 B&M coasters. So that would be a pretty impressive stat to see that you got 3 B&M coasters and you got 3 Intamins, and a lot of them, at least in my eyes, I would say are world-class coasters. I'm watching you, Skyrush haters. So just looking at all these benefits that a B&M dive coaster would add to Hersheypark, I think that this could be a very real possibility for Hersheypark's future. But wait! What are some other alternatives to this? So let's say Hersheypark wanted to get a B&M dive coaster, but let's say B&M says that they can't fit it at that spot. So where else could they put a B&M dive coaster? Well, they got a whole new plot of land around Chocolate Town and where Candemonium is. I know in my 10-year plan for Hersheypark I said that I don't see them adding this B&M dive coaster at this spot, but after thinking on it for a while, just imagine, at your park entrance you have a B&M Hyper and a B&M dive coaster right there. What a badass entrance. So after marinating on that thought for a little bit, I think that could be a very real possibility. Another alternative to this theory is, what if they do want to add a coaster at the spot of Tidal Force, but they decide not to get a B&M dive coaster at all? What else could go where Tidal Force is? So I think 2 other possibilities here would be either a Mock Ride's Power Splash ride or possibly a B&M surf coaster. While we don't know much about this B&M surf coaster and it's simply a concept right now or just a rumor, but just like concept though, a surfing coaster right next to the boardwalk, their water park section of the park, it's almost like a match made in heaven. So whatever this surfing coaster could be, I just hope that it's not like a standing coaster, because as you all know, I hate standing coasters. However, I have faith in B&M because they've come such a long way from their standing coaster model, which was their very first model, and I'm sure by now they've learned what not to do with new models, and their engineering and their technology has come such a long way. And I'm sure if this surfing coaster becomes a thing, that they're going to deliver an amazing product. So, what would a B&M dive coaster look like in Tidal Force's spot? I can't make a theory video without showing some kind of animation as to how I envision this. I still don't have No Limits 2 yet, I'm still saving up for that because I'm broke. But I do have Planet Coaster, and I'm not the best builder in it, but I still wanted to create something to show you guys how I envision a B&M dive coaster at Tidal Force's spot. Again, I'm not the best builder on this, so take your judgment elsewhere if you don't like it. Cause hey, after all, nobody made you click on this video.
You only got yourself to blame.
He's right. Alright, here's the video. So there you have it, guys. That's how I kind of envision a B&M dive coaster standing where Tidal Force currently is standing. And as I said, I think it's going to be a much more original layout. It's not going to be a cookie cutter dive coaster, and Hershey's going to want to put kind of their own twist to things. So now I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this kind of theory? Do you think something like this could possibly happen to Hersheypark? If you agree, comment down below. If you don't agree, then what do you think could possibly go in the spot where Tidal Force is if it gets removed? 1. Alright, I wrapped the video up here, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next loop. See you guys.